water resiliency for the County of Los Angeles. County system of flood control is one of the largest and probably one of the best maintained and operated systems throughout the United States, taking on quite a chore of moving that much water through about 40 miles of land. About the same amount of water moves through this system as the Mississippi River. The Mississippi River does it well over 2,000 miles, and we do it at 40. So you're correct, it is an important system for the safety of the business of the communities that we serve. It's a system that is offering us lots of opportunities to optimize in terms of water conservation and also multi-benefit recreation and other habitat restoration. The system is displayed on the board here, and I think it's the best way to sort of summarize what I was going to talk to you about is if you look at all of the red lines, if you will, on the system, that's representing about 500 miles of channel that the County of Los Angeles Flood Control District currently maintains. The blue lines you see on there are 40 miles of channel currently maintained by the Army Corps of Engineers, and I use the term maintained lightly. And I don't mean to be derogatory to my partners at the Corps, because I think that the Corps of Engineers has a fantastic mission, and they regularly operate the system with us in an outstanding manner, and they regularly focus on their mission and their flood control throughout the nation. And sometimes, as Supervisor Hahn said, their priorities are not the priority of Los Angeles County. This system that you're looking at was built from about 1930s to 1960s. It's worth billions of dollars in total. The county is maintaining the vast majority of the system already, operating and maintaining the vast. For instance, the County of Los Angeles currently maintains 14 major dams in the system, 27 striding facilities, 154 debris basins. We maintain about 2,500 miles of underground storm drain, and again, 500 miles of channel. In contrast, the Corps of Engineers maintains 4 major dams in the system. They maintain, again, about 40 miles of channel, so it's a very small amount compared to the large that we maintain already. And they maintain 1 debris basin up against our 154 debris basins. So it's sort of, the system is built to operate together. It has to work together. The water knows no boundaries, and we're moving water, essentially capturing and conserving water in the system. So that we have this goal with each other, and one goal for them is flood control. The other is the flood control district has a goal of conservation of water. The Corps does not share that mission with us currently, and Congress does not honor that financially. So one of the benefits of moving to only certain pieces of the system that we have optimized better the system for both flood control as well as water conservation. So there's a little bit of background for you. The system, as I already said, provides flood and risk management as water resiliency to the more than 10 million residents. The county and the Corps, as I said, has worked very, very well together through the years and have an outstanding relationship from the top of the Corps, General Semnite, the headquarters, the Chief of Civil Works, to our local Colonel Bartlett, who's here now. Mr. Aaron Bartlett is here. He is doing an outstanding job of working with us annually. And you've seen we haven't had no major issues in the system this year, despite having a heavy rainfall year. And that has a lot to do with our cooperation with the Corps. However, of course, the Corps being a federal agency depend on the congressional action, as Supervisor Kill alluded to. The congressional action has never, ever really come quick or evenly for us. The problem is many supervisors are going there advocating for the Corps of Engineers to have a budget to properly maintain the system, and annually they're coming up short in the appropriation for proper maintenance and rehabilitation of the system. The system right now, the portion of the system that the Corps currently maintains, that smaller portion, is estimated to have over $200 million in the whole system of deferred maintenance that needs to be done. And that's not just only specific to the channels, but also the dams and the other components of it. That 200 or 194 million read in some of the background on this is scary, because some of it is actually what the portions that protect all of us from flooding. If you remember in the El Nino season, just most recent El Nino season we had to get emergency money to get the Whittier Narrows cleared, to bring to some state of maintenance and operation that would allow the passage in just a 20-year event. And our system is designed for a 100-year event. And so it many times has been, well, I would say that this is no way to maintain infrastructure. That we cannot have every year in, year out not putting away money for that deferred maintenance. And that the Corps needs to continue to do that, but also that there's provisions in the that cannot be deferred. And so I do see it as a benefit to the county locally, although I do see Supervisor Barger, you're right that they would lose some obligation in terms of maintenance dollars on an annual basis. Of course, we would continue to work with them on projects, such as a Royal Sable project and a feasibility study, that's the LA River revitalization study that's ongoing currently. That project will be ongoing with federal dollars coming to it too. This is specifically focusing on maintenance and operation. So the process the Corps has laid out for us is called a disposition study. They have all kinds of interesting different things they do, but essentially what this disposition study is supposed to do is convince our federal government that there are portions of the system that are better maintained by a local agency. And so it's a process by which we will be, I hope it's not a long process, I'm hoping for less than a 2-year process in which we will identify those components that make no sense to be divested to the County of Los Angeles. We would go into negotiation with the Corps, the Army Corps of Engineers, and then we would present a proposal to the Congress to have the divestiture occur. And I do really very much appreciate the board's support, if we did today, to move forward so we can continue to advocate for this to happen as quickly as possible. I have gotten positive feedback from the President, from the White House, as well as the Congress, about the idea of local facilities being, given up to the locals. This is, again, aligned with the infrastructure policies that are happening in the United States. And in fact, Supervisor, you asked, there are many places throughout the United States where the Corps is looking to divest themselves of pieces of infrastructure they've built for agencies through the years. Even some bridges that they built that they can really maintain. The Navy has been at this for some time. Some of the naval facilities you've seen them divest themselves of those. So the Corps isn't as good at it, I would say. They don't seem to understand the process as well as the other components of the military do. But we are sharpening that for them, and they're working closely with us and developing a direction for us to have this occur. The other motion, agenda item 9, it just says that we're more important for us to have happen. The Whittier Narrows, really what that is about is why that's such a high value project to us is that the number of people that are protected by Whittier Narrows Dam. It's a dam within a system of dams that run up the San Diego River. And we have multiple dams upstream of this dam, so we regulate the flows as it gets to Whittier Narrows, and we would be regulating those. But in an extreme event, and I have to tell you that the event that they size this on, we would be all of our dams would be overflowing to the point to all of the Whittier Narrows. So what has happened is the Corps has identified it as a high-value, high-risk scenario in which allow them to become the nation's first number one priority expand project. So, retrofit project. So, we will be, and we want to support congressional action to appropriate dollars and to fund the project so that we can better prepare the dam for any event, any extreme event. But also, another component of that is to educate our citizens downstream about the fact that there is a dam in this community that protects them, and that we are locally responsible to actually do the emergency management training for these cities downstream. In conjunction with the federal government will tell you that's a local agency's responsibility to do the preparation and to have people ready for the event of a major extreme event. And as we all know, we've been seeing extreme events occur throughout the United States. While I pray that this never happens in LA County, a 1 in 1,000 year storm, it is good that we are planning and looking at that. So Supervisor, I do actually, as the Chief Engineer of the Flood District, support both the motions and prepared to act on advocacy if the Chief will please the motions today.
I forgot to mention, though, and I do want to give a shout out to Congresswoman Grace Napolitano, who represents much of the jurisdiction, but also in her committee that oversees the Army Corps. And last month, when I had the opportunity to visit in Washington, I had an extensive meeting with her and her staff regarding this issue, and she made very clear that this is one of the top priorities for the Army Corps. And if any funding will be made available, this will be first on the list. So we do have an advocate. I'm glad that if it is an act of Congress that she's there to help. And she understands this issue fully. So again, thank you. It's been great to work with her and also with our staff on this. Thank you.
You said something that I'm curious about, and I think it's maybe even Mary. If it's transferred, do we get indemnified in case of liability as it relates to, I mean, you talk about deferred maintenance, and if there's a failure or something, is there an indemnification clause that we can put in? Or, I mean, I'm just curious, because that we've had some of the walls fail as a result of construction down in San Diego that impacted homes, and it was the contractor that had to repair them. But if it's a failure based on infrastructure and deferred maintenance, I'm just curious.
I mean, it's something we'll definitely have to look into. Sometimes the federal government, it might be more challenging for them to indemnify that, but we'll explore it.
Well, I'm just, you know, you said something, I know when the courts were taken, when the county gave up the courthouses, we had to bring them up to a certain standard and hand them back over. So maybe that's a similar scenario that you're going to talk
It is
about.
an experience that identification would come along with the divestiture. And in fact, what we would be doing is negotiating the state of repair so we receive them in some state of repair that we believe reduces the risk of such failures.
Yeah.
But all infrastructure, as you know, Supervisor, carries infrastructure liability. You can't really avoid it. Similar with the Rosemary Boulevard transfer, Supervisor. It is a good thing to bring up, but that is a part of the risk decision to take over these components, is that we want to make sure they're in some good state of repair before we take them over, and that we invest our local funds to operating them.
Because again, I think this is great. I really commend you, and I'm glad you brought up Grace Napolitano, because I know this dam especially has been an issue for her. I know she's an advocate. She recognizes the value of the Army Corps of Engineers, but also recognizes limitations they have as it relates to funding. And I think given the vision and the Supervisor Solis, has been something you are focused on, and that is the LA River, and really investing in that. And, you know, at the Grand Park, Geary approached me and said, will you support the supervisory movement? And I said, absolutely, we'll support moving it forward. So I think there's a lot of opportunities for us on a local level to reinvest and really re-engineer, if you will, our flood control to reflect the priority of this county, and that is soft bottom and really restoring it back to its original vision, or I don't know, its vision, or before we were born status. So I commend you both, and I look forward to both of those.
And I really appreciate, Mark, just the way you said the Army Corps they're our partners. I mean, in no way are we disparaging them, but I think people have no idea about the scope of their duties and responsibilities across this country. I know, they dredged Marina Del Rey, right? And I know when I was in Congress, one of the things I was advocating for was the repair of the breakwater outside the port of Los Angeles, which was in great disrepair. And that was a project that before the next winter storm, I worked on moving forward. Sorry if some of your projects got pushed back. But that's the way it is with the Army Corps of Engineers. In no way
That was
do not
funny.
do a great job, but they're certainly, their scope across the country is gigantic. So I think this is a good idea. I support that. Thank you, Mark, for the way you've been advocating long before I came here. I knew you as a great champion for Los Angeles County. Now, Madam Executive Officer, please call up the members of the public who signed up to speak on this item.
With the following individuals, please come forward when I call your name. The staff will assist you. Lourdes Zaragoza, Jose Jimenez, Angela Barato, Lori Aguilar, Terry Sutkin, Eric Previn, Melanie Whittier. Please come forward and staff will assist you.
Good morning. Go ahead.
Good morning. Honorable Supervisors, my name is Lourdes Zaragoza, representing Alma Family Services. We are a nonprofit providing supportive services out of our sites in Pico Rivera and El Monte. They range from mental health services to parenting classes and other social services to our youth that are dealing with challenges, and we work with several school districts in these areas. I am here because our sites in Pico Rivera and El Monte that service the families and the communities would be impacted if this was to happen. I'm here to speak in support of your letter that would allow for the repairs and restorations of our dam. Failure to address this crisis would mean a disaster to our communities. They would lose their homes, their jobs, and businesses. This loss would be devastating and traumatic and would cause our families great tragedy. Our social services that address the needs of our families throughout our communities are impacted currently. You're providing resources to improve the quality of lives of our families. These services would be drained if our families were losing their homes, their life, and more importantly, their ability to provide for their families. So once again, thank you for your vision and for supporting, and I'm here to support, and I'm grateful that you're all on it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next speaker, please.
Hello, Honorable Supervisors. My name is Lori Aguilar. I'm here on behalf of the City of Montebello. I'd first like to thank Supervisor Solis for bringing forth this issue and the board for their consideration. I'm here to express full support from the City of Montebello and its community for the funding of repairs and improvements for the Whittier Narrows Dam. It would be of great importance not only to our city, but to ensuring the safety of residents in the entire region. So once again, I'd like to thank you guys for your support.
Thank you very much. Next speaker, please.
Hi, everybody. Good morning, and thank you, Supervisor Solis. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm Angela Bronco, CEO of River LA. River LA is a nonprofit that is focused on revitalization of this incredible 51-mile corridor through innovation and the integration of design infrastructure in order to bring people, water, and nature together. The scale of opportunity is tremendous for the LA region. It not only goes from the West Valley through downtown through the southeast cities, but out through the ocean at Long Beach. 1 out of 4 Californians live within a short drive, and nearly 1 million live within walking distance. The LA River has provided much to the region from the founding of the city to today, protecting the life and safety of millions, just like we've seen in the flash floods of the last few weeks. And with the changing climate, these risks will only grow. Improved maintenance and streamlined approvals will allow our region to improve flood control in the changing climate, and we will be able to create an even better LA region for almost 20 million Angelinos. We need to conserve critical stormwater that will reduce water imports. We can increase recreation, open space, and public health opportunities for many communities of need. And we can connect our region through better transportation and green corridors. Local control of the LA River will allow this and more for our region, because we will have fewer restrictions, greater agility, more funding flexibility, and enhanced ability to truly focus on the needs of our region. River LA has worked closely for years with stakeholders at the local, county, state, and federal level, including the Army Corps, to imagine a new future for the LA River and our region. I know we all share a desire to do what's best for the river. We are excited to support today's resolution as another step forward for that integrated, innovative, and equitable vision for the LA River.
Thank you. And before the next speaker, we have a few more members of the public to call.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Would the following individuals please come forward when I call your name? George Bussetti, Sarah Pascone, Stephen Garza, Thomas Farmer, and Victor Castillo. Please come forward.
Okay, next speaker, please.
Thank you for this opportunity, Chair, Supervisors. My name is
1 minute?
Thank you.
This is a real issue. Do you know that this is called the most dangerous dam in the United States?
I have to get back.
Yeah.
I'll put them 2 for
I
1.
thought you might be interested in that.
It's very important and near and dear to us. This morning, geographic extent as far as the location of the dam, it sits at our southernmost border. So any action impacts to the dam there's a direct effect, positive and or negative, to the city of South Amani. With our presence here, we would like to say that we're engaged, we're interested in the topic.
I started to keep notes on who speaks and stuff, so I don't have to spend hours at home figuring it out.
It is therefore why we're here this morning to supervisor for this meeting to thank you for bringing these motions forward. Grateful and near and dear to my heart. Again, because in the news we hear a lot about what's going on in the dam, but not a lot is heard about the community itself. Why buy something that you don't need to?
That's true.
Again, we show solidarity. We're here to support the money Trump needs for the wall.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
And I'm a resident of Los Angeles. I live in the Legion Valley, right on the edge of the river, and lived there for about 10 years. And it's a very different experience from, looking at the high level and the big map, because we do have the Army Corps responsible in our reach. And there is trash, there's a lot of debris. They're actually out there working right now, I have to say, and I also kind of share the feeling like we don't want to risk what we have. However, it needs to be overhauled, and the problem is not, or the opportunity is not just with the county and the Army Corps, but it's also with our city of Los Angeles, because right now, if you live right on the river's edge, there's a lot of confusion about who's responsible for what. Every inch of that river, from top of levee, water and power easements, the city of Los Angeles controls the Metro Lake. The county has easements and even parcels that they own just off the levee, but they're in the neighborhoods, and so it's a very, Legion Valley is kind of ground zero for this, because we've been also, the successes that people love the LA River in LA City and South Pasadena and Larchmont, and they drive from all over to come and ride through it. But it's so popular, and the path was done so quickly that it's only a Class 1 bike path.
Almost nothing on this meeting. We're going to be out of here.
This one right here. But it's truly just a Class 1 bike path, and as you know, that's not adequate for pedestrians and we have seniors.
You're wrong.
She just said the bridge will not break down with all the bridges we have.
Dude, I've got a particular issue. This is the most dangerous pitch in the United States right now.
He says,
I don't care what this says.
We have,
I don't care what this
buyer
says.
beware.
I'm reading
There's
national
active
codes on
conditions
this.
that
Not
we
their little
really
local
want to
aspects.
share
That's
with
why
you.
I'm on this.
I'm active on my neighborhood council.
I didn't know this was coming up, but I read about it 3 days ago.
Along the river.
This is the number one.
I'm very interested in this, but we have to be included.
I'm talking national shit. This is the number one most dangerous motherfucker in the United States.
I'm Melanie Whittier, I'm the founder and director of
1.3 million people can die.
We focus on watershed
One
planning
swamp.
and watershed management.
Boom.
We've been advocating to begin to study the best process. Since the
Corps
diversity
engineers
of
ain't taking care of business.
National Academy of Sciences.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
Study in 2012.
Public Works, their guy showed up, give me a break.
No, he was good. He told the truth. Everything he said lined up with everything I know.
As we move forward,
He said we didn't have the money.
in an era of climate
He said
change,
they have to go and
our
ask for money
challenges
when we
are
don't have
being
money.
overlapped.
Why are we gonna get something?
Last week's paper, the day after the
Because you
article
can't take the risk.
was the article about
But we had no
water
money.
continuing to go away.
Money's easy.
These two things together.
I can find the money.
need to be considered together. That's not something we can do.
All I do is take away the fraud and I got the money.
It's something we can start to
They
move
said they
towards,
used the rental
doing better,
program in Belmont.
with local control here in Hudson County, and hopefully also in partnership with the state, who have a lot of
Pure
resources.
garbage.
She's saying something.
In the process of this study and in moving forward. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
The river as a river will serve us much better in the 21st century than the river as a piece of drainage infrastructure. Rivers, creeks, and streams are some of the hardest workers for hardest frustration. We're going to need an awful lot of drawdown to keep us under 1.5. Our rivers, creeks, and streams are an important part of that. They also serve to cool communities, protect habitat, and provide numerous other benefits. We have to think about our system this way. Watershed management encourages us to think this way. If we move forward with the county as a prime partner here and prime leader here, rather than being told to do it more quickly and with an integrated approach that allows us to consider the river as a river. Thank you very much. Next speaker, please.
Thank you.
Motion carried.
Sarah Bradstone, here with the Mountains Recreation Conservation Authority and the Urban River Program.
Gotta write down our times.
And I'm here on behalf of the Executive Director, Joe Edmiston, from the Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy. And we're here and excited about this item and believe it's a step in the right direction. And
Very good.
benefit, especially with the considerable confusion that folks have when addressing the river, and often leaves individuals unaware of who is in charge of what element. And that confusion is even more when the varying jurisdictions based on various issues do come to the surface. So as an agency who has been working on the river for over 20 years, we can attest to the challenges simply in navigating a project. And under one jurisdiction, projects and planning can be streamlined and allow for more multi-purpose, multi-benefit projects and planning for people that can happen sooner rather than later, and would eliminate challenges in having to go through various agencies and entities for permits for the greater good and for these projects. So under one local agency operating maintenance, there is a benefit in issues remaining local and creating for a better response rate and public interaction with a local-centric entity. So thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Okay, fine. It's Eric Previn from Studio City. We also have a little bit of the river right through, but Whittier Narrows is an important part of our history. And the Army Corps of Engineers, I think we should be cautious before we try to wash our hands of that group. That is a historic group that did an incredible build in America, number one. And number two, during a time when Public Works was ignoring our cries and the Marina was concerned about a giant boat central machine that they were all rubber stamping, the Corps wanted to have at least one hearing, and that was, I believe, the hearing at which we built the foundation to knock that thing down because it was an appalling misuse of the public land. So in this case, I love the idea of all the restoration and good work we can do with the Corps, but to get rid of them, why don't we see if they'll come to the table with something before we throw them overboard, will be our recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good morning. Thank you so much, Jen Son, and the Board of Supervisors, particularly Supervisor Solis, for pulling this item for public comment. My name is Stephen Mejia. I'm the Policy and Advocacy Manager for Friends of Los Angeles River. As many of you know, FOLAR has been involved in this for quite some time, for over 30 years, bringing people down to the river to have a relationship with it in order to better inform our ideas about what the river can mean for our future lives. And I think, first of all, we would like to offer our support for the divestiture motion, so item number 8 specifically, because we think, very mentioned by some of the other speakers already here, but having better local control would make us better responsive to some of the local needs. And obviously, we have been talking through, as a steering committee member for inside the LA County River Master Plan process, we've been talking about the need for a watershed approach, and we really do feel that this is a first step to help us facilitate that conversation and really deliver those benefits. A watershed approach requires, as Melanie sort of referenced, a sort of broader view, a bigger picture, and that requires thinking about our partners at the state, thinking about some of the local entities that can really help us think through this. So we really see this as a really wonderful, positive step forward. However, I think we would want to make sure that we're thinking about we want expediency, of course, but we also want to make sure there's transparency and that there's open dialogue about this process. A negotiation, the details about how this is negotiated, I think should also make sure it enables that future vision that we have. And so, our operations and maintenance is really the litmus test for whether or not our policies and our priorities are actually met. And I think the truth is, up until this point, we've had to, choose, do we want a concrete channel in order to protect, homes from floods, or do we want to have these multiple benefits? And I think we're at the point in time where this can enable us to have a different conversation, so we're thinking outside the box and not relying on the same antiquated tools. So thank you so much.
Thank you for your time. Next speaker, please.
George Mazzetti. First, sir from Public Works, thank you for being here, your great presentation, and you actually are listening to the speakers, and that is admirable. That is a sign of a true mind. I didn't know this issue was coming up. I get about 150 emails, national security, everything you can't even imagine. I know what the hell's going on. And in there, I read about this dam, sir. What nobody said is this is the most dangerous damn thing in the United States. It can take out 1.3 million people in one shot, can it? This is not something to play with. So we better listen to what Eric was saying before we make any dramatic moves. Because in this environment coming up in global warming, thank you, Hilda Solis, on this. You know what I'm like with you people when you're wrong, but I will back you up when you're right, and you see it all the time. Like I gave up my time up to that lady. You have to do something about this, and you have the right man here, sir. You're one of the few people here. Ask them that I'll ever say this about. Thank you for being on this project. Oh, I forgot about the ice cream sandwich. That's the most fun I've ever had at a meeting. That's the best stuff in the world. And I don't eat ice cream.
I am very, very surprised. You got this man coming here, one man for the county, and federal government. You don't need a project. I understand you just said everything right now. So basically someone's lying. And that's all all the people that are funding. So we want to control the water flows. This man says it's perfectly fine. But yeah, if you take it on, he says last time we had a problem, we have to beg for support on the outside. And this thinks we need $17 billion, and that's what the government can pay, but they don't pay that. They can pay for the wall in San Diego. So I'm sitting there going, wow, and you just said you went to Washington. You just said that, you know what, hey, you know what, we got to do, this is the promise we got. So that's pretty much political. We're sitting here like a bunch of idiots creating nonprofit groups about water. Has nothing to do, they just get paid to sit and call water, river, and that's it. But this is a disgrace. This should be voted by the voters. This should be looked at under a microscope, and this is called collusion. When you bring in all these laws and start listening to this, we're really educated by you people. Thank you. But leave the government and the Army Corps alone. Basically, they got their projects. This man says, hey, they do good. We cannot, we're using newspapers to talk bad about our government, talking bad about our countries. This is all alone. We need to stick to our gun and take care of LA. Leave that water, the stream, and some fairy tale story. We're just putting taxpayers' money to supply government money. The federal government that pays people to go to jail. We need to keep that money for ourselves to help our communities, not drain ourselves. We're talking about helping jails, changing the system. Look where you're going to buy a stream.
32.
Please, everybody's safe. Please, I'm not against it, but this is a lie. We should look at it under a microscope. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Thank you. Yes, speaking of blood, speaking of water, like I said before, I have white friends that are my friends. I have white people that are my enemies. I have Hispanics and, other people that are my friends. They're my enemies. But speaking of water, it's funny now, I think it was around maybe 340 years ago, I was laying in Jamestown by the river. Just got through fighting some Indians. And some homeless people that came, they knocked them. Oh, you know what? It wasn't no homeless people because I was the only person there. Like I'm still here now. See, y'all I don't care about what y'all talking back and forth about. Y'all need to come to me to be able to get what you need done because I'm always going to be here and I'm the truth. So what's about to happen is a debt owed. You see, so I'm going to get paid on that debt. I wish you would try to hang me like you did to niggas in Oklahoma. You see what I'm saying? Y'all got me fucked up. So all this shit that y'all talking is irrelevant to what's going on 100 years ago.
Thank you. Thank you.
I didn't want that.
Okay, I believe that those are all the speakers at this time, so items 8 and 9 as amended are before us, moved by Supervisor Solis, seconded by Supervisor Kuehl to approve this item. If there are no objections to unanimous vote, seeing none, that will be the order. Okay, now we are on item 18A. And I know we have some friends from the Palisades Peninsula that have come down here today. Colleagues, I'm just going to set the stage a little bit for this. It's been over a year since we've discussed this issue, so I just really wanted to remind us what we're the problem that we're addressing. May I please ask those in the audience who are leaving to try to do it as quiet as a way. This meeting is still going on. So just because your item is finished doesn't mean that we're not still in our meeting. Thank you. A few years ago, the Powell Springs Peninsula had been dealing with a spike in underage drinking parties at private residences. Underage drinking is dangerous in any context, but even more so on the peninsula that has fewer street lights and winding roads that really increase the dangers of drunk driving. In response, the cities of the peninsula, Palos Verdes Estates, Rancho Palos Verdes, Rolling Hills, and Rolling Hills Estates, had put in place a social host ordinance, which imposes fines on homeowners of the property where underage drinking occurs. The problem was that there were 3 unincorporated areas that sit